All right, guys, welcome to the homestead. This is hiking and homesteading, and if you can see in the background, we have a cabin in the mountains with a couple acres of land, and do the homesteading and hiking with all around us. This is my rooster Tommy Boy, so if you're tuning in, it's probably to watch the 7 reasons that you should raise turkeys for meat. Excuse me, I said roosters, it's turkey. All right, so anyways, reason number 1, and I'll actually go through all 7 real quick and then elaborate on them. So reason number 1 is feed to meat ratio, okay? And I'll elaborate on that in a minute. Here, buddy. Reason number 2 is they're easier and faster to butcher. Reason number 3 is they're a lot cleaner, especially when butchering. Reason number 4 is they're friendlier with people. Reason number 5 is they're easier to house. Reason number 6 is they're a lot more organic, less feed and more foraging. And reason number 7 is I have raised all the other ones, and these guys are my favorite. So again, this is Tommy Boy. I'll let him check out. I just want him to say hey for a second. So I'll let him walk on off. But he's a really sweet rooster, aren't you, buddy? All right, so let's talk about these reasons real quick. So reason number 1, feed to meat ratio. When you raise meat chickens, typically the one you raise is called the Cornish cross, and the Cornish cross can get about 10% of its feed off the land, okay? Well, meat turkeys, like the one I had Tommy Boy, was a broad-breasted turkey, and they can get, and you can get the bronze broad-breasted or the white broad-breasted. Those are both meat turkeys, and they can get up to 50% of their feed off the land. So you have to buy a lot less feed to get your meat. And I would actually be curious to see what heritage breeds of turkeys would do. So he is a meat breed. He's made to grow fast and gain a lot of weight. But if you had a heritage breed, you could probably come really close to keeping them 100% off the land. Maybe just give them some feed here and there for supplement. But you could probably really come close to growing a heritage breed turkey 100% off the land if you wanted to be full self-sufficiency. But a big misconception people have is when you grow meat chickens, they can't grow 100% off land. You have to spend a lot of money on feed, and if you're going for 100% self-sufficiency, meat chickens aren't really the way to go. Meat turkeys need some feed, but they can still get a lot off land. And like I said, if you did a heritage breed turkey, you could probably raise them just like wild turkeys and have them go 100% off land. So anyways, way better feed to meat ratio, buying a lot less feed. Second thing is they are easier and faster to butcher. And you think, well, wait, they're quite a bit bigger, and because they're bigger, wouldn't it take longer to pluck them? And the answer is yes, but when you're looking at a meat chicken, they usually top out around 10 pounds. When you're looking at a turkey, they can get up to, if it's the white broad-breasted turkeys, they can get up to 45 pounds in 6 months before you butcher them. Now, it does take longer. So meat chickens tend to take 2 months, whereas turkey will take 6. So it takes about 3 times the length of time. But again, if you're looking to put them in the freezer for the year, just get a batch of turkeys in the spring and butcher them before Thanksgiving, and you've got your meat for the year. But anyways, so the meat birds, you're gonna have to take, a turkey can top out about 45 pounds, and the chicken's about 10. So it's gonna take 4 chickens to 1 bird. So yes, the chickens will be a little bit quicker, but when you think about how much you butcher for your meat to ratio, turkeys would beat them hands down. You could do maybe, a turkey will take a little longer, but maybe like 1 turkey per every 1.5 chickens as far as butchering time. Another thing with the turkeys is because they're larger, they have a bigger body cavity, so it's just kind of easier to get your hand in there and pull the guts out. So just quite a bit easier and just quicker overall time. If you was to raise, say, 25 meat turkeys, that's going to be the equivalent of like 100 meat chickens as far as actual meat in the freezer. And you could easily do 25 turkeys faster than you could do 100 chickens. So anyways, they're just easier and faster to butcher when you look at not just 1 bird to 1 bird, but when you look at how, several birds to fill your whole freezer for the year of meat. So that's the second thing I want to elaborate on. The third thing is they are just cleaner. So the turkeys, they got really long legs. You could see when I'm hunched down, but his head was right up where mine is. So they are really tall animals, and they stay off the ground. The meat chickens grow so fast. If you've ever seen the Cornish cross meat chickens, that their legs can't actually hold themselves up. So they basically just drag their breast off the ground. And even if you keep them in chicken tractors and move them over fresh grass every day, which that's another thing to point out, is chicken tractors versus turkeys can just free range in the land. They don't need to be in the chicken tractors like the meat birds do. So the meat chickens have to be kept in the meat tractors, moved on fresh grass every day. And because of that, they're gonna get a lot of just dirt and manure. Even if you move that tractor daily and they're on fresh grass, they just get a lot of junk on their chest and their feathers, and it's kind of gross when you go to butcher them. So it takes a little bit longer to clean, kind of grosses you out a little bit. So the turkeys are they're cleaner animals. They're higher off the ground. They don't while they're in their own manure. So just a lot more appetizing when you go to actually eat the bird. Fourth thing is they're friendlier with people. And they'll actually, you could see he was a little nervous because any kind of livestock animal, unless you just hold it all the time, is not going to want a human to grab a hold of it because they know that you're possibly going to try to eat them. But he'll actually, when I'm out working in the pasture, my turkeys will follow me around. They're kind of inquisitive and interested, and they know that you're going to give them food, so they'll kind of stay pretty close to you. And the reason why I say this, you're like, well, it's a meat turkey. I don't really want it to be my pet. I don't really want it maybe necessarily be friendly with me. You probably don't want a mean rooster that would flog your kids if you got kids on your homestead like we do. So the meat turkey is really friendly with our kids. He lets my 3-year-old pet him, and it's just a great asset to the homestead. He's not going to be mean or aggressive towards others. So anyways, number 4 is they're friendly. Number 5 is they're easy to house. So turkeys, chickens, whatever, when you start them out, you got to have them in a brooder box so they can stay warm. And so you keep them in the brooder box the first few weeks, and then you move them to a chicken tractor or turkey tractor, where I have a 4x4 foot cube that's about 2 foot high off the ground, and I hang their feed and stuff on it, and I can slide the food off over the ground. They can kind of eat fresh grass while they eat their grain. And I do that when they're big enough to not need the heat lamp, but they are not big enough to kind of be introduced to the big bad world and all the predators that we would have on the homestead. So they're still enclosed and moved in an area where their food and their water are all secure, and I move them on fresh grass. And I do that for a few weeks, and then they're ready for the big bad world, and I put them out in the pasture. So Tommy Boy that I just introduced you to, we'll butcher him in Thanksgiving. He's got about three more months to go. But once you get him on the pasture, he can free range just like the goats can, just like any other heritage breed chickens that we have can. Not the meat chickens, because they can't really free range. But anyways, he can just go around and do what he wants to do and eat all kinds of bugs, grubs. He's not confined to a chicken tractor. Even though you're moving him on fresh grass every day in a chicken tractor, they don't really have free range. So he's just a free range guy. He gets whatever he wants in the homestead, can go wherever he wants to eat, except for the yard because the dog chases him out. But anyways, he goes anywhere else. And we got a 2-acre fence pasture that he can just roam around and eat whatever he wants. So the meat birds, the Cornish cross, you have to put those in a chicken tractor until they are ready for butchering, because they are so fat and so slow that they're susceptible to predator. You could have an electric netting and keep them in that and move the electric netting every day. But that's still, you got to move a tractor, you got to move netting. It's a lot of extra work. Whereas the turkey, when he's on the pasture, he goes out with the goats, and then mine stays in the barn with our egg-laying chickens. They just go in to roost at night. But you can build, they don't really need a fully enclosed barn. You can just build a perch for them that's mobile, and they really just need, I've heard, just a shade cloth just to protect them from the sun. They don't even need something that's waterproof over their head. I would still do a tin roof over them so they at least get, the rain off their head. But apparently, from other homesteaders, what I've heard is they just need a shade cloth. So they're super easy to build a really quick house and perch that you can move around for them. Again, mine just stay in my barn. But they're very easy to house compared to the Cornish cross chickens. They're more organic, so maybe you like to, all the feed you buy is New Country Organics, or you buy the top quality feed, and we do that for a lot of our animals. But sometimes that feed adds up a lot, and so if you didn't want to go organic on your feed, like I said, turkeys are still getting over half of their feed off land. So even if you go non-organic feed, you still got a really healthy bird that's getting a lot of food naturally from its ecosystem and stuff. So it's homestead and it's pasture. So you're not having to put as much of the carcinogenic or toxins that you might find in non-organic feeds into the bird, because they just don't eat as much feed if you wanted to feed them more economically. Or if you feed them organically, they're still eating a more natural diet than just feed. Because birds aren't really meant to eat a ton of feed, they're meant to forage. So they're more organic. And then the 7th reason that I would give it to the meat turkeys is because I have raised all the other ones. They're my favorite. I've had ducks before. Ducks are super vulnerable to predators. They're really messy, especially if you put fresh water out every day. They go out and just nasty it up in like 2 minutes. Whereas the turkeys will, they could drink out of water. I change it every other day, and it's crystal clear when you change it out. I mean, they just don't get a bunch of gunk in it. They're clean animals. So I like them a lot better than ducks. Also, I think they taste better too. I've raised the Cornish cross chickens, and we've weighed out those to that, and they cost a lot more feed to raise, and they're a lot more maintenance, and a much higher mortality rate. Sometimes they have heart attacks because they grow so fast, whereas the turkeys don't. So I like the turkeys much over to the Cornish cross. And you say, what about the Freedom Rangers, the Red Ranger chickens? Those turkeys still beat them out on the feed to meat ratio considerably, because the Freedom Rangers don't get near as big as the Cornish cross, so the turkeys really beat them out on it. And then same with the heritage breeds. Heritage breeds of chickens like your Barred Rocks and Rhode Island Reds take 6 months to raise to butcher, and so does a turkey, and you get way more meat per feed ratio. They're just still better efficient foragers. So that's why, for me, 7th reason is because the turkeys are better all around at any other poultry that I've raised for meat. So they're my favorite. So again, meat turkeys, give them a try. They're my favorite poultry animal to raise for meat on the homestead, but maybe they're not yours. But again, I've tried all the other categories and they work the best for me. So anyways, if you like this video, like it, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and keep watching our videos at Hiking and Homesteading. Thanks.